Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Welcome to Post to Post. My name is Neil. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I actually already did this video, but it was almost 4 years ago on the original Post to Post channel. And that video was about, as a whole, not just about a specific season, but as a whole on the team. The previous season before that, the current season, just in general, who was the best player on the team? So I thought I'd kind of redo that video, but put a little bit of a twist on it and talk about this season specifically. We are, a quarter of the way through this season for most of the teams. Now, some teams have played less than 10 games as I'm filming this. Some teams have played 16 games. So it's a bit unfair to kind of judge maybe the best player on a team only on 9 games, but I figured it would be a neat process to look back on. So some might even argue, why even do this? Because the next day, this video is kind of irrelevant, or it could be irrelevant for some of your picks. And I don't even disagree with that, but it would be really cool to look back on at the end of this season and see, oh, okay, well, at the quarter mark in the season, Neil stated that this player was maybe the best player on that team. Whether you agree or disagree, even myself looking back on this video, it's interesting to look at and see the progression of a team and that player. So even for internal use and for me, just as a general hockey fan, I'm excited for this video to look back on, really. And it's a weird season in general, so yeah, 15 games is more than a quarter way through the season. So I figured I'd just go through the entire NHL, pick every single team, and say who I thought was the best player on every team. And some teams I haven't had a chance to watch a whole bunch, so that's actually where you come in. I'm going to make a pick for every team, but if you think I'm wrong, hey, I don't think I'm right. I'm just going to tell you my picks. If you think I'm wrong, man, let me know in the comment section and let me know who you think is the best player off that team, because maybe there is no right or wrong answer, and maybe I am wrong more than I am right. So please leave your feedback down below. But let's get this going. Let's start off with the team I'm going to talk about first, the New Jersey Devils. Okay, so obviously New Jersey isn't a top-tier echelon team this season. They have more than enough issues to deal with. However, there are some specific players, and obviously one that I'm going to talk about that I feel is having a decent year regardless of what's going on, and that is Mackenzie Blackwood. His play statistically is pretty decent. 1.90 goals against average. I think his save percentage is 9.948. But there's been games that I've watched where Mackenzie Blackwood, just the quality of shots that he's getting, not just the amount, but the quality of shots that he's getting and the quality of saves that he is making in certain situations, which is keeping New Jersey in some of these games, is outstanding for me. There are arguments that there could be other players from the team and I know that goalie isn't technically a player, but I'm including it in this. There's arguments that could be made that maybe it's not Mackenzie Blackwood, and feel free to make those arguments, but I feel pretty good about Mackenzie Blackwood so far being the best player on the New Jersey Devils. The Pittsburgh Penguins. For me, this one's pretty easy. It doesn't really matter what season it is. It's always going to be Crosby for me. I am not a Sidney Crosby fan, but I have huge respect for him, not only as an offensive player, but a defensive player as well. He is, in my opinion, is the best NHL player in the league. He has the best two-way game. And, there's other arguments you can make, Bergeron, McDavid, Draisaitl, overall, whatever. That's an entire another video. But personally, Sidney Crosby is the best player, not only in the Pittsburgh Penguins, but in the league. The Washington Capitals. Most would say Ovi, and most wouldn't be wrong. I may even not disagree with that, but I'm going to say Nicklas Backstrom. So far this season, he's got 17 points as I'm filming this. He is the kind of quarterback on a lot of those power plays. He is so underrated and does not get enough attention because of Ovechkin that he could maybe any year be argued as the best player for the Washington Capitals. But I think so far this season, he's played very, very well. Very well. And if you want to pick Ovi, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'll give you a good argument as to why Nicklas Backstrom was the best down below in the comment section. The Buffalo Sabres. All right, so this one's probably an easy one. Everyone's going to pick Jack Eichel, and I agree with that. Jack Eichel is definitely the best player on the Buffalo Sabres and also the best player so far this year. Now, he's not playing, I would say, quite at the level that I've seen him play before, but he's still, no question, the best player on the Buffalo Sabres so far. The Boston Bruins. Okay, so not so easy here. There's a couple names you could throw out. Patrice Bergeron, Tuukka Rask, Brad Marchand, and those would all be really good answers, and actually that's the direction I'm going to go. I'm going to remove Tuukka Rask a little bit. I'm going to focus on Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand. Both have had statistically very close seasons. Both have had successful seasons so far, just regardless of statistics. But to me, it comes down to the additional points of a player's game, position, defensive as well. And while, Brad Marchand is the better offensive player, he's also pretty good defensively. He does not get enough credit defensively. He does backcheck quite a bit, but I would say Patrice Bergeron is the more responsible player for sure, and probably also the better defensive player. So they're kind of even a little bit, things kind of start to even out. But then I look at position, and Patrice Bergeron is one of the best centermen in the entire NHL, and that's a very difficult position to play. So I'm going to give the nod here to Patrice Bergeron, even though I don't like Brad Marchand, and even though he's playing very well, and maybe some people might pick him, I'm going to go with Patrice Bergeron. The New York Islanders. Probably a quick one here and there. Yeah, there's some arguments that you can make, but this one's easy for me. It's Matthew Barzal. There's no question that I think he is the best player on the team. Now, I will say that I have not watched a lot of the Islanders this year. I haven't gotten a lot of opportunity because they seem to be playing exactly the same time as a lot of other games, and I've just been kind of more interested in some of the other games and some of the other divisions and stuff. So maybe I'm wrong here, but for me, this one's easy. Matthew Barzal. The New York Rangers. Now, this is a team that I think has not lived up to their potential so far this year. Lots of young talents. Maybe there are some chemistry issues and stuff. They are not as good as the team that I thought they were going to be, but I still see lots of potential there. And while I think this one's generally an easy one, it's Artemi Panarin. Most of you will probably pick the same player. There could be some honorable mentions as time moves forward, as the team grows and progresses. I'm curious to see if this one changes halfway through the season. But for right now, Artemi Panarin is the best player on the New York Rangers. The Philadelphia Flyers. Okay, so generally this one's pretty easy for me. I'm going to go with JVR. He's got 18 points. He's absolutely killing it this season, playing very well, having a very good year so far. I think he's going to slow down a little bit, and maybe this conversation gets a little bit more in-depth halfway through the season. But I wanted to also give an honorable mention to Brian Elliott, a goaltender that hasn't really played a lot of games. I think it's about 5 or 6, but he's played very well for the Philadelphia Flyers so far this year. A veteran goalie, an old goalie, and man, he's still kicking, and he's still doing a good job. So honorable mention to Brian Elliott, but my pick here is JVR. The Carolina Hurricanes. I'm going to go on a bit of a limb here and pick a player that has only played 4 games, and by player, I mean goalie. Peter Mrazek, 0.99 goals against average, .955 save percentage. 4 games played, very small sample size, I understand that, and people will disagree. It's only 4 games, that's nothing. The stats are skewed and stuff, but it's not all about stats, it's about quality of saves as well. So this may change halfway through the season. This may already change for some of you. You may want to argue my pick here in Peter Mrazek down below in the comment section. Maybe you want to pick, someone else on the team. That's totally fine. But for me, he's a bit of a standout on the team, and I think he's very underrated in the entire NHL, not just the Carolina Hurricanes. The Chicago Blackhawks. Again, maybe an easy one here. I'm going to go with Patrick Kane. That is the easy answer every single season, every day of the week. Maybe not every single season, but generally most people are going to pick Patrick Kane. Chicago has issues right now. They have really specific issues that some are out of their hands, and some of them are, it's their fault. They've got some stuff to work through. But I think overall, it's going to be Patrick Kane here. He's the best player so far for the Chicago Blackhawks. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, so this one's a bit difficult. If you had said, Neil, preseason, make a prediction a quarter through the season, who's going to be the best player? I feel like I would have been able to make some educated guesses or predictions, but now that we are a quarter through the season, and I've watched actually a lot of Columbus as a team I'm pretty excited for, I don't know really who the best player on the Columbus Blue Jackets are. They seem to be maybe a little bit of a different team from night to night. Each player's been inconsistent for the most part. So I'm going to pick Oliver Bjorkstrand, and I think most people may disagree, or I don't know. It's been a weird team so far this year. I have really no confidence in my guess. I've watched a lot of Columbus, like I said, but I still have low confidence in this guess or in this prediction, in this pick, whatever. Oliver Bjorkstrand, feel free to pick differently down below in the comments. The Dallas Stars. Now, there are definitely some big names you can pick from the Dallas Stars, but for me, this one's pretty easy. It's Joe Pavelski, Captain America. I think that just the little things that Pavelski does. It's the tipping in front of the net, which he's an absolute master of. Nobody is better than Joe Pavelski at tipping pucks in front of the net. It's the power play leadership. It's the scoring big goals and big moments. I was talking to one of my Dallas Stars friends who is a Dallas Stars. I was talking to one of my friends who is a Dallas Stars fan. His name's Jesse. Lives in Minnesota, and he was talking about Pavelski, and he called him a seismic player. And I thought, well, that's kind of a weird term. It's like seismic, but it's a little bit of a cringy term. Sorry, Jesse. We talked about it, but he's right. Joe Pavelski is a bit of he is a seismic player. As much as I hate that term, he makes, like, he shakes the ice. He makes movement. He makes big plays. He scores big goals in big moments and changes the way that the game is played. He is a bit of an untraditional player. He doesn't mind standing in front of the net, and sometimes you'll see him stand in front of the net, and he'll be screening, and then preemptively, like 5 seconds, he'll just step off to the side, give the goalie sight, and then tip it as it comes through. He doesn't care that the goalie can see. He just knows how good he is at tipping, and he waits for it. Where most players, they stand in front of the net, and they'll try last minute to get out of the way and then tip it if they can, or just let the shot go through. He has the confidence in his tipping ability that it's just so untraditional. It's so odd to see. But that's the kind of player he is. He shakes up the game like an earthquake. He is a bit of a seismic player. So, again, as much as I hate that term, I wouldn't necessarily hate it. It's just an odd term. Jesse was right, and my pick here is Joe Pavelski. He is that game-changing player. So far, he's the best player on the Dallas Stars, in my opinion. The Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings. Oh, man, the Red Wings last year was such a difficult team to watch. And although I think generally they're easier to watch, they're still not easy to watch this season. Very frustrating if you're a Red Wings fan, seeing your team make some, changes that aren't going to bring them to the playoffs or win them a cup, but still make some decent changes in the offseason with just a slimmer of hope, but still a lot of frustration. So this pick was a bit difficult, but I think I want to go with Thomas Greiss in net. And I mean, it's a tough job. If you're a Red Wings goalie right now in the past couple of seasons, that's a tough job. Thomas Greiss coming into that franchise and doing his best. Statistically, I mean, he's 2.91 goals against average, I think, .901 save percentage. He's over 900 in the save percentage category. He's under 3 goals against average, so that's not terrible. Goals against average is a little high, but if you look at Detroit and you look at where they are and how they've played, you kind of feel like maybe those would be worse statistics. So I'm kind of impressed that Thomas Greiss' statistics aren't a little bit worse. So yeah, he's going to be my pick for the Red Wings. But Red Wings fans, who do you think has been the best player so far for the Detroit Red Wings? The Florida Panthers. Oh man, this team. There's so many players that you could pick from this team. Just in general, like regardless if you're making predictions for the season or before the season, or it's just talking about so far, it's just the team has so many good players on it. It's ridiculous. I'm going to maybe take the easy way out. I'm going to say Alexander Barkov. Maybe just so much for positionally. Like, there are other teams who are, I would say, maybe more offensively gifted than Barkov. But as a centerman, Barkov has a bit of a different job, kind of like Bergeron. He's over 55% in the faceoff dot, and that's, man, if you're over 55 in the dot, that's pretty good. So shout out to Barkov for not only being a good player, but a really successful player within the dot. So Alexander Barkov, you are my pick for the Florida Panthers. The Nashville Predators. Man, this is a team that I had a lot of question marks around this season, or going into the season. I've talked about it in my prediction video for the standings of the division. But as a team, I've generally tried to watch as much as I can of, because I love watching the team. There are a lot of depth players, a lot of really good depth players in the team, and I haven't had a chance to watch as much Nashville this year as I was hoping to, or that I have in the past seasons, like percentage-wise. So maybe my pick here is a little bit wrong, but I'm going to take the easy way. I'm going to pick Philip Forsberg. He's statistically had a pretty good season this year, but I'm not super confident on this guess. If you guys have watched the Predators more than I have, Predators fans, let me know, is this pick wrong? Who should I be paying attention to on this team moving forward for the next time I do this video halfway through the season? I'm going to try and watch more Predators hockey, but for right now, my pick is Filip Forsberg. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa's a tough one. They're one of those teams that have so many good players. There's Stamkos and Kucherov and Vasilevsky and Hedman in points, and I mean the list goes on. They just have an incredible team. That's why they won the Cup last year. So there's a lot of really good choices. I'm going to go with Brayden Point because positionally, he plays center. He's consistent. He's good defensively as well as offensively. I really like his game completely, and he's having a pretty good year this year. So Brayden Point, you my pick. The Anaheim Ducks. I said it before the season started, and I'll say it again. If this team does anything this year, it's because of John Gibson. And he has kept them in so many games this year, it's not even funny. John Gibson is clearly the best player on the Anaheim Ducks for me. It's not even a question. Now, I haven't watched a lot of Ducks hockey. I've probably watched about 6 or 7 games, so maybe I should watch a little bit more. But still, from what I've seen, from the highlights that I've seen in games that I haven't watched, John Gibson is the easy choice for me. The Arizona Coyotes. Now, this one might come across a little bit biased. I really like Connor Garland, okay? Like, I really like him. He's one of the most underrated players in the NHL. He's one of my favorite players in the NHL. I'm going to pick him here, and I don't care if you think I'm being biased. He's had a pretty good year. Now, Arizona has been a little wishy-washy this year. They've been inconsistent. They remind me kind of like Columbus, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I feel disappointed sometimes when I watch Arizona because they're not the same team. Maybe not the same team. Some of the players aren't the same players they are from night to night. So I get a little frustrated when I watch the Coyotes sometimes. But for me, I'm picking Connor Garland. The Colorado Avalanche. There are so many people you could pick here. You could pick McKinnon. I'm not doing that. I probably should, but I'm not doing it. You could pick Rantanen. I probably should do that, but I'm not going to. Cale Makar, Landeskog. The list really goes on here with Colorado. I'm going to maybe go the untraditional route, okay? I'm going to pick Philip Grubauer. 1.67 goals against average. I think his save percentage is like .934 or .933 or something like that. The point is, he's really good. He's been good. He's been consistent recently in his career. He's been very good this year, and he's the reason that they have won a lot of games, and lots of that credit goes to those other guys too, McKinnon, Rantanen, all those guys. It really is a team effort when it comes to Colorado, but I want to give some love to Philip Grubauer. So he's my pick for the best player on the Colorado Avalanche so far this season. The Los Angeles Kings. For me, this one's easy, but I don't necessarily think that I'm right. I have not watched a lot of Kings hockey this season. I just simply haven't. Their games are on super late. They're a team I'm not super interested in, but for me, it's Anze Kopitar. From the games that I have watched, he's been completely dominant on the ice compared to the rest of his team. To me, there's not really anyone close on the team other than Anze Kopitar, so he's my choice. The Minnesota Wild. Okay, so I might get some hate for this one. I am not really a fan of this person at all. I'm going to go with Cam Talbot. Cam Talbot is the best player of the Minnesota Wild? What? I don't know if he actually is, but from what I've seen, there have been some players that could be in the conversation, but Cam Talbot, statistically and just in general, has not really been that great of a goaltender in the past, I don't know, we'll say 3 seasons. But he has looked better, I think, this year than he has in his previous 3 seasons. His goals against average is 2.41 or whatever it is, and I think his save percentage is .920. His stats are better than previous seasons, but his quality of saves are better. I've got to watch lots of Cam Talbot because he played for Edmonton, he played for the Rangers for a while. He's been around, and I've watched him a lot. But from what I've seen this season, he seems to have revitalized his game just a little bit. Now there's still certain situations where he looks like, oh my God, Talbot, what are you doing? But still, he's been pretty good this year. And there are a lot of other players on the Minnesota Wild that I feel are underperforming. So I feel maybe he's overperforming and they're underperforming. Therefore, maybe he's the best player on the team, but probably not. Wild fans, feel free to disagree down below in the comment section. The San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks, my second favorite team, a team that I love deeply. And it's a team that has gone through a lot of change in the past maybe 2 seasons. More so in the last season specifically, but I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with the San Jose Sharks because they've made some decisions that I just just like, what are you doing? I just don't understand it. Whether it's goaltending, whether it's not re-signing players, whether it's bringing certain players in, I just don't understand it. But as frustrated as I am with the Sharks, they still have so many good players. So many good players. My favorite player is Timo Meier. He's not my choice for this season. I'm going to go with Logan Couture. I feel like overall, offensively, defensively, leadership-wise, just in general, he has been their best player this year. So that's my pick for the San Jose Sharks. The St. Louis Blues. Now, there are a lot of different directions you can go here with the St. Louis Blues. I think a lot of people, or maybe most people, would pick Binnington. I'm going to go with Ryan O'Reilly. He's been very good in production-wise, offensively, but also positionally. I think he is a very good two-way player. There's been certain times where he's looked a little bit lazy, but in general, as a whole, he's been very good. Not only this season, the previous season, he's really like stepped up his game since they won the Cup and past that. So this one's easy for me, Ryan O'Reilly. The Vegas Golden Knights. The easy answer here is Mark Stone, and I'm not even going to disagree with the people who choose it, but I'm going Marc-Andre Fleury. An absolute veteran of the game. He is elderly. He's considered elderly in the NHL. That's how old he is compared to a lot of the other goaltenders in the NHL. But man, is he ever playing good. He's playing so good. 1.58 goals against average. I think his save percentage is .934, whatever, something like that. I'm not a huge Marc-Andre Fleury fan. I know a lot of people out there are. To me, he's been fairly inconsistent in big moments in his career, which is frustrating, but man, is he ever playing good so far this season? And not just good, like some of the saves that he is making are just unbelievable. He made a glove save the other night that was just like, so for me, Marc-Andre Fleury so far is the best player on the Vegas Golden Knights. The Calgary Flames. Now, I may be a little bit biased here, but I don't think too much. You could say Gaudreau, Tkachuk, Monahan, the list goes on. I think I'm going to go with Jacob Markstrom. He was my favorite player for the Vancouver Canucks other than Bo Horvat, and my love kind of really came over with him to the Calgary Flames. And he's played pretty good this year. He's played very good this year, considering the team that's in front of him. Sometimes he is left out to dry completely. Now, statistically, I think he's around 2.21 goals against average, 9.921 save percentage. So statistically, things are looking pretty good, but there have been certain situations where the Calgary Flames defensively have left him in, and it's just like, thank God Jacob Markstrom was there, because if he wasn't, who knows what would happen. So for me, Markstrom has been the best player for the Flames this year. The Edmonton Oilers. Now, obviously, the easy answer is Connor McDavid. I mean, I've got him on this jersey. Connor McDavid is the easy answer. He should be your answer. It is, statistically, he's going to be the best player most years on the team. Now, Leon Draisaitl has some years been the better statistical player. So I'm going to go with Draisaitl. And also for the fact that I think he's the more complete player, including defensively. I've seen Connor McDavid backcheck, and I've seen Connor McDavid not backcheck at all and just kind of lays around on the ice, which is frustrating because I know how fast he is. So I think physically and defensively, Leon Draisaitl is the better player and can also contribute offensively as good as Connor McDavid, but I think Connor McDavid is just naturally more skilled. He can create something out of nothing like that. So naturally, Connor McDavid is the better player, but I think as an entire team player, Leon Draisaitl has been the better player so far this year. The Montreal Canadiens. All right, now we're talking. My favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. I've watched every single second of every single game so far, and I have lots to say. I truly have lots to say. You could pick Carey Price. You could pick, and maybe should pick Tyler Toffoli. He's had a very good year, although I think he's been a little inconsistent at times. One period, he'll show up and be incredible, and the next period, he'll be like, okay, well, where's Tyler Toffoli? Carey Price has been amazing overall, but there are some saves or some non-saves that have gone in. Just like, Carey Price, this is not Carey Price. Like, what are you doing? You see, and sometimes he's a little bit too lackluster. He's a little bit too calm. Like, I want to see a little bit more feisty Carey Price. So I'm going to go with a player that I don't even really like that much, Jeff Petrie. Jeff Petrie has been amazing this year, offensively, defensively, on the power play. He's been so good. And it's not that I hate to say that. It's just, I've just never really been a Petrie fan, so this is not a biased pick. This is an objective pick, completely objective pick. Jeff Petrie, in my opinion, has been the best player on the Montreal Canadiens. The Ottawa Senators. A frustrating team to watch at times, absolutely. A lot of potential, a lot of growth that could happen, but for me, it's Brady Tkachuk. He's just there, like in every kind of scrum, kind of like his brother. He's involved in big moments of the game. He's physical. He can produce offensively. He's played decently defensively. So overall, and just intensity-wise, for me, Brady Tkachuk has been the best player on the Ottawa Senators. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, as a Canadiens fan, it feels a little icky to wear this jersey. I will shower immediately after this video. But I really have to, I want to give credit where credit is due here with the Maple Leafs. Before I pick a player, I just want to say how impressed I am with the Maple Leafs defensively. Not overall defensively, but just in a little specific section defensively, back-checking. As a Canadiens fan, I've obviously had to watch my team play the Maple Leafs. I think it's been 3 times so far this year. And in the past 2 games, the Maple Leafs have back-checked so well, something that I have not seen from the team consistently, definitely not consistently in the last 5 or 6 or decade really, but they've been so good at that this year. And it's not just the defensive players who are known for defensive play; it's the offensive players as well. I've seen Matthews backcheck, I've seen Marner backcheck. John Tavares has made so many backcheck plays; it's been unreal, taking scoring chances away from teams. My team, the Montreal Canadiens, stop it, Tavares. But I really just wanted to give credit where credit was due and look at the Maple Leafs objectively. They have been a better defensive team this year, and that scares me as a Canadiens fan who may have to play them in the playoffs or whatever. Hopefully, the Montreal Canadiens make the playoffs. That's pretty scary. But my pick for the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs is Mitch Marner. He's kind of like McDavid in the sense that he can really create something out of nothing. He could be behind the net and there could be 4 guys around him, and Mitch Marner could just go and just come right out and then boom over to Matthews and it's in the back of the net. It's like, well, how the hell did that happen? Mitch Marner just has that ability. He's so skilled with the puck. He's kind of a combination between Johnny Gaudreau and McDavid in a way, and he just has the hockey sense. Everything's easy to him. So I'm not a big Marner fan, but I really appreciate him. I think he is the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this season. The Vancouver Canucks. Oh, what a frustrating team to watch. I feel so bad for Canucks fans, and I'm the idiot over here who predicted them to be first in the division. First! I predicted them to be first. They look like poop. They look so bad this year. Oh man. I feel really bad because I know that this isn't the team. Like, this is not the Canucks team that we know that they can be. They are way better than this. So this pick as the best player on the Vancouver Canucks for this section of the video was actually a little bit difficult because I don't really know who to choose because every single player on the team has been fairly inconsistent and unreliable at times. I'm going to go with Brock Besser just because I think offensively he's kind of contributed the most. Now, Hughes is in the conversation, but I think defensively he's been terrible. So I'm going to go with Brock Besser. Brock Besser, in my opinion, has been the best player on the Vancouver Canucks so far. And finally, the Winnipeg Jets. There are a lot of really, really good choices out there. So you could pick on the Winnipeg Jets. Really easy choices, but I'm going to go with Nikolai Ehlers. Not only has he produced offensively with 16 points, I think it is, so far as I'm filming this, but defensively, and just he's been so responsible compared to everyone else on the team who has had defensive struggles. I feel like Ehlers has been by far the most responsible player. So I really appreciate his offensive ability, but I especially appreciate his defensive ability. So Nikolai Ehlers, in my opinion, has been the best player on the Winnipeg Jets. So that wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear your comments down below in the comment section. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Give me reasons why maybe I was wrong. Pick your own. Do your whole list if you want. If you want to do all 31 teams and list them all down below, that'd be really cool. I dare you to do that. I dare you. I read all the comments. I appreciate your engagement, whether it's a like, a comment. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you've literally watched this entire video and you're at this point and you're not subscribed, fix your life. Just hit the subscribe button. Join me here for videos like this, other ranking videos, jersey concepts, contests, giveaways, all that good stuff. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a really good Sunday, and I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.